Hey guys, this is Mr. Grice for Algebra 1, Chapter 6 Review. Please have this worksheet out in front of you because we will be preparing for the Chapter 6 test. So, we're going to go through all of these problems. If you have any questions, go ahead and try and ask. I don't know if I'll be able to hear you. So, what it tells us to do is, first off, we've got some multiple choice problems. Place your final answers on the lines provided. All right, number 1. Which graph correctly represents the inequality -1 less than or equal to x? Okay, now the first thing I want to look at is that inequality. Is that open or is that closed? That's closed. Are there any two of these problems or any answers that we can start to knock out that are not closed? Yeah, look at A is open and B is open. Okay, those are wrong. You cannot, right there it tells you it's closed. Okay, so we can get rid of those. Now, the next thing we need to know is we have to rewrite this because the x has to be first. Okay, and now let's look. Who's the Pac-Man eating? The Pac-Man's eating the x. When you get a closer look at that, be like, oh, x is greater or equal to -1. Once you see that, you should be able to figure out what your answer is, which is C. All right. Number 2. Which inequality does not have a solution of x is greater than 2? Okay, so we got to figure out which one of these is not -2. So let's go through and solve them all. -5, we're dividing. Negative divided by negative is a positive. You need to flip the sign. Well, x is greater than 2. Okay, well, it's not A. Let's look at the next one. Okay, we have to divide by -17 to get the x by itself. X, we get 2. Once again, you divide by a negative, so we have to flip the sign. Up, x is greater than 2. It's not that one. Let's look at C. Now, for C, to get rid of that, we have to multiply by the reciprocal. Those cancel. X negative, or 0.4 times -5. If you have your calculator out, that gets you -2. We multiplied by a negative, so we have to flip the sign. X is, oh wait, x is less than 2. Well, that's different. So there we go. And just to double check, multiply by the reciprocal. Those cancel. And that fraction actually reduces to 2. So there you go. Our correct answer was C. All right, number 3. We have to solve. So when we're solving, we're following the rules of SADMAP. Okay, so we have to minus the 5 to both sides. You get -4x less than or equal to -16. To get the x by itself, you have to divide by -4. Oh wait, what do we divide by? A negative. So we have to flip the sign. X, and then we get 4. Now, right away, my answer is +4, so I'm going to get rid of the 2 negatives. So now, all we have to do is match up which one it is, and it's C. All right, let's move on down to 4. Now, the first thing that we want to do is to get your variables on one side. So we're going to add the 2x, and you get -x plus 5 is less than or equal to 8. Subtract the 5. -x is less than or equal to 3. You're not done yet, guys. There's still a negative sign out there. Okay? So we get x, we get -3. we're really making sure that you know this rule where you have to flip it. Okay, our answer is -3. So I'm going to cross out the positive 3's because I know that's not right. This is greater than, so circle greater than. There you go. All right, number 5 says, which point is a solution of 2x plus 5y is less than or equal to 10? Use substitution and check each point. Okay, so I have to check each point. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just rewrite this real quick. Less than or equal to 10. So that's what we're going to check. Copy it, paste it, and I got to do it not once, not twice, but 3 times. All right, let's start plugging in. Remember which is your x and your y, okay? And match them up with the equation. So -1 and -2. Go ahead and start solving this. -2 times -1 is 2 plus -10 less than or equal to 10. 2 plus -10 is -8. And is that a true statement? Yes. Okay. So say the answer? No. We have to check them all, guys. Don't be lazy. So -6 and 5. -2 times -6 is 12. 5 times 5 is 25. 12 plus 25 is 37. Is that a true statement? Nope. That's false. 37 is not less than 10. That's insane. Okay. The next one, it's 3 and 0. Multiply that out, you get -6 plus 0 is less than 10. Okay, and is that a true statement? It is. So, our answers were A and C, but I can't do, oh wait, look at D. D says both A and C. Okay. Number 6 says choose the inequality whose solution is graphed below. Well, remember which one the x is and which one the y is. Now, is this a horizontal or a vertical line? Okay. It's horizontal, and that's a y graph. Okay. So you can get rid of C and D. Now, the next thing we need to know is if we shaded above the line or below the line. There's my line. To me, it looks like we shaded up. And up is greater than, so B is the answer to that one. Okay? Alrighty, let's go ahead and flip it over. Now, part 2 is the free response. Just to write the algebraic form of the inequality represented in each graph. Now, I know one of these is an AND graph and the other is an OR. Whenever I see this break right here, I like to write the OR right away because that means that that's when we're going to have the 2 x's. Okay? So this other one, x is going to be in the middle. Now, our numbers are 2 and 4. So x is this middle part all in here, okay? So x can be greater than, oh, I'm saying this wrong. X has to be less than 4. It's open, and then it's closed right there. Okay, so this is closed, and that's open. Okay, and we need to think the same thing here, closed and open. We've got 2 and 4. So x is less than or equal to 2, but it is greater than 4. Okay? All right. Now, if you'd like to try 9 through 12, why don't you go ahead and pause the video, and let's see how you do. if you're positive, great. If not, we're going to go through these. Now, let's draw the line. We got to subtract the 5 to both sides. Do not forget about that negative x. Okay? Now, you have to divide by -1. When you divide by negative, you have to make sure to flip, and your answer is x is greater than 1. Alright, number 10, it's division. So to get rid of division, we need to multiply. You multiplied by a negative, so you have to flip the sign. M is greater than -16. Alright, number 11, we got a little bit more work. Okay, we got to get all of our variables to one side, so subtract the 4y. And you get 4y minus 2 is less than or equal to -10. Start solving for y. And the last step is to divide. And when you're all done, you get y is less than or equal to -2. Okay? And here, number 12, they're actually making you do some work. So first thing you do is have to distribute. Everything else stays the same. Combine your like terms. You get 3x plus 15 is greater than or equal to -21. Start solving. 3x is greater than or equal to -36. To get the x by itself, you have to divide. And when you're all said and done, x is greater than or equal to -12. Alright. So solve and graph each of the compound inequalities. Circle and box your answers. Okay? Alright. So 13 is an OR graph, so I know there's going to be a break somewhere in there. So we've got two separate ones, and we're going to treat them separately. 2x is less than -4. Divide by 2, we get x is less than -2. Okay, so at -2, we're open, and you shade everything to the left. Alright. Subtract 1 to both sides. We get 3x is greater than 9. Divide by 3. We get x is greater than 3. So at 3, 1, 2, 3, we're open. And then we shade everything to the right. So we have to circle or box our answers. There you go. So x is less than -2, or x is greater than 3. Now for 14, we draw the line down the middle. Okay? And we want to solve for that middle part. We want the x all by itself. So to do that, we have to add 1, but once we do to 1, we have to do to them all. Okay? Step number 2, divide by 4. And you get -3 less than or equal to x less than or equal to 6. Okay, we have to put a box around our answer. Oh, let me fix that last line. There we go. And now let's start graphing. So at -3, we're closed. And at 6, we're closed. And then we need to shade everything in the middle. Okay. 15 and 16, we are graphing. It says graph the following inequalities. Don't forget to shade and write your answers in slope-intercept form. That's the y mx plus b. Okay? So for these, we have to solve for y. So to solve for y, we have to subtract the 2x to both sides. We get negative 3y is less than negative 2x minus 9. Divide by negative 3. We get y. Oh, we divided by a negative, so we have to switch the sign. 2 out of 3x plus 3. Okay? Now, off to the side, I want to know the slope, the y-intercept. Is it solid or dashed? It's dashed because it's open. And then do we shade above or below? We shade above because it's greater than. So at 3, we're open. And then we're going to go up 2 over 3. Up 2 over 3. And I'm just going to keep that pattern going. It's going to be a dashed line. And then we said to shade above. And there you go. Let's look at the next one. Okay, let's draw the line and start solving for x. We have to add the 5x to both sides, or solve for y, I mean. So we get 4y less than or equal to 5x minus 16. To solve for y, you have to divide everything by 4. And you get y is less than or equal to 5 over 4x minus 4. So the same thing, the slope, the y-intercept. The slope is 5 over 4. Negative 4. It's solid because it's closed. And then we shade below because it's less than. Okay? So at negative 4 is where you plot your first point. You go up 5 over 4. Up 5 over 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 over 4. Draw your line. And we're going to shade everything below that. All right. Last part, absolute value. Okay? Now, if we have a positive answer, we can break it off and we know that we're going to have 2 answers. It can be a negative 3 or it can be a positive 3. And then we're going to solve each one of those. Subtract 8, subtract 8. X equals negative 11. And the nice thing about these is you're going to solve them the exact same way. So our 2 answers, x equals negative 11 and negative 5. Okay, so we've got a number on the outside. First thing we have to do is set up and get the absolute value all by itself. Okay, you can't have a negative number. Absolute value cannot equal that. So our answer is no solution. Okay, last one over here. Add 4 to both sides. We get the absolute value of x minus 6 equals 24. You can break that up into 2 problems. X minus 6 equals negative 24, and x minus 6 equals positive 24. Go through and solve for x in each one of those. Add the 6. We get x equals negative 18. Add the 6 to the other side. You get x equals 30. So our answers, x equals negative 10 and 30. Okay, well that's going to be it for Algebra 1, Chapter 6 review. Now, if you have any questions, please see Ms. Carranza or myself, because you will need it. After you watch this, you should be taking the test. Okay? So, come and find us. You guys know where to do it. Otherwise, that's it. Thanks for watching, guys, and good luck on your test.